If you've clicked on this video, then you probably think that chess is hard. And chess is known to be a very complicated game, but there are ways of making it easier. And in this video, I'm going to show you a trick that will change the way you view chess. It will become much easier for you. So, let me go ahead and get a game going. I'm right now doing a speedrun going all the way to 2000 from 300. We're right now at 500 rating. And I think that the tip that I'm going to give you is going to be especially really good for anyone under 1200. But obviously all these tips you can bring no matter what your rating is, but you know, this is especially aimed for people under 1200. And I'm right now playing against a 500. So I'm going to play my London that I've been playing in this speedrun. And, you know, many people ask, yes, this is a chess.com authorized account. So chess.com gives back the rating to all my opponents. And the theme of this video, the trick that I want you to know to make chess simple is this. And, you know, open up your ears and write it down or whatever. Do not go for intermediate moves ever. If you're under 1200 rating. Never. So I'm going to play this quickly and I'm going to go for my little London setup. And you may say, Anna, what is an intermediate move? Well, an intermediate move is a move that you do in between another move. For instance, if my opponent is threatening my queen, but I decide to, instead of move my queen, I decide to do a counterattack and threaten their queen. That is an intermediate move. It's a move I do before I do the move that I was actually going to do. And you may say, oh, I never do this kind of stuff. But yes, you do. People in this rating love doing fancy things. One, probably because they watch a lot of stronger chess players do those things and it works for them. But two, because it's human nature. Chess becomes more fun when we're able to just be really creative and do whatever we want to do and just go for these crazy complicated tactical lines that makes us lose our queens. But the thing is that at this level, it's very hard to calculate several moves in advance. So there's no point in putting yourself in such a difficult position. Just put yourself in simpler positions and chess will become easier. Period. It's as simple as that. So my opponent is now doing one of the biggest, well, not biggest beginner mistakes, but my opponent is now going for one of the rules that I tell you that you shouldn't do. And you know what I tell you? You should always develop your minor pieces first and never develop your queen early on. What is my opponent doing? Boom. They're developing their queen before they're developing their bishop, knight, and castling. This is a mistake. They shouldn't do it. Now, actually, you know, I could take this pawn and it looks very yummy, but I'm going to keep on doing the stuff that I always do, which is to develop. So I'm going to develop my knights. I'm going to develop my bishops and I'm going to castle. Yes, is this a free pawn? Yes, but it's a little bit risky, you know, to put your bishop all the way over here in the side of your opponent on a square where it's undefended. Okay, my opponent is doing everything wrong. I mean, you shouldn't put your knights on the rim. Knights on the rim are grim. You've probably heard that. You don't want to put your knights on the side of the board. You want to put them towards the center. So my opponent is bringing out the queen to square where it's actually really not good. And then they're bringing out the knight. So this is actually wrong. So I'm going to develop with my bishop. I'm simply going to bring my bishop over here. I'm putting it on this long diagonal. And I'm actually, by developing in such a natural way, I'm posing a really big, and they fell for it. I'm posing a really big threat for my opponent. This is what happens when you put your pieces on such weird squares, such as this and this. I'm now winning my opponent's queen in one move. Now, I'm not expecting you to be able to see this as a 500, but this may be a good trick and a good move to remember, which is that whenever the queen is on f6, there's sometimes this move over here, and because I've been taken out this diagonal, the queen cannot move one step to the right. The queen has no square it can go to. All the squares are unavailable for the queen, so I am actually winning a queen right now. And this is just a way that I'm refuting in 7 moves my opponent's terrible opening. And this is why you always want to bring your knights out to the center. This is especially why you never want to bring out your queens early on. Because when you bring out your queens early on, it's very easy to attack the queen. Your queen may be lost. It's always the same story. Someone brings out the queen, they say, oh, I want to attack with the queen. But what ends up happening is that they lose with that queen. So now he's taking here, and this game is now really good for me. I'm simply going to take back with my queen, because why am I taking it out with the queen now? Because I've developed most of my pieces. This is the only minor piece that I haven't developed yet, but otherwise I've developed most of my pieces. And now my opponent is exchanging pieces. But this is not something you want to do when you're a queen down, because it's going to be much easier for me to simply win if I'm able to take away all of my opponent's pieces that could counterattack me. So I'm now simply going to develop this. My opponent's giving me a free pawn. This is a push. I'm just simply going to take it back. And after takes, we'll take it back with the queen. We're not going to have any double pawns. And then we're going to castle. And my opponent is still playing this game. So we're going to castle. And we're going to go rook over here. And now I'm simply going to push. We're going to go ahead and push the center. Takes and takes, and now we're gonna go for an attack. And I'm actually gonna play one more game after this, because I feel like this game was really quick and it didn't give me the time to show you the moves that I wanted to show you, the whole intermediate moves thing. So because my opponent just lost the queen in the opening, so now after queen over here, I'm sort of attacking this king, and now we have it. I'm pinning the pawn, and now we have a fork. I'm forking the king and this rook. And after this, I'll be able to simply take everything. And this will become a checkmate. So, once again, this was a great game to show you the whole, why you should bring out your minor pieces first and not your queen. But we're going to go for one more game where I'm going to explain and show to you what I mean with not doing intermediate moves. So we're getting the white pieces again. And I'm going to go for the London again. We're going to go for this because I think it's a really good opening that I recommend for people this rating. We're bringing out the bishop. We're going to go for e3 and c3, and we're going to keep in mind, if my opponent attacks me, I will move the piece. I will not counterattack. Nothing like that. Nothing, no crazy tactics. No, I will hold it. I will hold it until I'm a little bit better at tactics in the future, but not now, not yet. It's too early. So I'm just going to go for my little setup. I'm bringing out the bishop. I'm going for my little setup, and then we're going to get the knights out, and this bishop is moving over there. I don't care. I'm just getting my knights out. Just playing very, very simply. Just getting this knight out. And then I'm going to move my bishop. And then we're going to castle. And guys, I will bet you. Okay, what do I bet you? I will bet you whatever that my opponent will do an intermediate move in this game that will not work. That will make them lose something. So we're saying right now that my bishop is defended. All my pieces are placed in squares where they're defended. And I'm now going to castle. My opponent takes here. I'll simply take back. And then my pawn here will be controlling this. Okay. So now it's time to bring in the rooks. So I need to bring in my rooks. My rooks are not doing anything. And we're now entering the middle game because we've been able to develop almost all our pieces. So let's see where we want to go. In the middle game, what you typically want to do is that you want to find good squares for your pieces, or you want to find pawn breaks. In this position, a good pawn break would maybe be to push this pawn once, because then would be threatening the center. But actually, I'm going to start by taking this because I'm too scared that I'm at any point going to push this pawn and blunder this bishop. So I'm just going to do this to get it out of my way, and then I'm going to push this because, well, I want to exchange this pawn that's over here not doing much for this pawn over here that is one of the most important pawns in black's position. There's a key pawn in the center. This pawn right over here is, controlling this square, and it's just a really good pawn. And if my opponent doesn't take me, I will push. And if I push, I'll threaten the queen, and I'll gain lots of space on the queen side. And what do I mean with lots of space? I mean that I will cross my side of the board, aka this side, and I'll move into my opponent's side of the board, which means that, I have space because I'm taking away some of their squares on their side of the board. So now my opponent's being sneaky. They're going knight over here. And whenever your opponent goes knight over here, you need to say, okay, is my opponent threatening checkmate? Well, no, because my knight is defending here. But just in case, I'm going to move the pawn because, one, I want to get some air for my king for the future. But two, I don't want to fall for any checkmate. And I'm 500 rated. I might at some point move this knight and forget that this knight was defending this. So we might as well just get rid of this knight that's right now, threatening, and now the knight goes back, and now this move was pointless. So now I'm going to push. I'm threatening this queen. Let's see where this queen goes. And after this queen goes somewhere, it's time for us to come up with a new plan. Chess is just a game full of plans, which is the beauty of chess, So the queen goes over here, and I do want to get my queen out. I want to do that. You know what? I'm going to get my queen out. But I don't really want to take this pawn. Because if I take this pawn, then my opponent's rook will be able to attack me. And then I'll be opening up this file. So I don't really want to take this pawn. I'm always scared when I get my queen or any piece to a square where it's undefended on the other side of the board because I might lose it. So I'm just developing my queen just to get my queen and connect my rook. So now this knight is coming up. And I'm seeing now that my opponent is loving bringing up the knights. But actually here, I can push away this knight again. And now the knight has to move back. The knight can't go anywhere. If the knight goes over here just for my opponent to feel better about going up here, then actually this is going to be a mistake because the knight, once again, is going to be on the rim. It's going to be on the side of the board. It's not going to be on a good spot. So this is it. I knew it. I could have bet my house. Guys, here my opponent went for an intermediate move. This is exactly what I'm talking about. A move where I was threatening my opponent's knight, but what did my opponent do? They decided to, instead of move the knight or defend it, they decided to attack my queen, going for a fancy move. But what are they missing? They're missing that I can actually move my queen and capture this knight by simply taking here. This happens very often at this level, and this, I think, loses so many games to so many people. This is the one thing that I want to try to get people in this rating. I want to try to get you guys to stop doing this because this is an unnecessary way of losing a lot of chess games. If your piece is attacked, instead of doing something fancy, move it back or defend it. But don't attack one of my pieces because it's typically not going to work. So now this pawn is pushing, and like I said, I could capture, but I'm scared of this rook coming in. So I'm going to take a little bit more space. I'm going to threaten this queen. Now we are a full piece up. And a lot of people in this rating will go ahead and start exchanging because they'll say, oh, I'm scared of, my opponent having so many pieces. I want to exchange all my pieces. But now my opponent doesn't exchange, but they actually blunder the queen. They put the queen in a square where it's undefended. And whenever you do that, you always have to be so careful, even if it's on your side of the board. So now I can take this queen, and we're going to see if my opponent resigns or not. But this is now very much winning for me. Now my queen is under attack, and now I can go ahead and capture this pawn because actually I have a pawn that's right over here. So I'm not going to be opening up the file for my opponent's rook if I take. So actually, if my opponent attacks my queen, I will simply move it. I could take here, but I think I'm simply going to move it back because I don't want to give any counterplay to my opponent. Counterplay, giving counterplay is very unnecessary most of the time. And the key is figuring out what is giving counterplay or not, which you realize the higher rated you get. But I don't want to give any counterplay because one of the things that, for instance, Magnus Carlsen does really well, the world champion, is that he annoys his opponents. And not in the sense that he's, staring at them or sort of like moving his fingers during the games or whatever. No, he annoys them by stopping every single one of their chess moves. He doesn't let their opponents get any counterplay. He just simply plays solid chess and doesn't give the opponent a chance to attack or to get any big counterplay. And that is actually very annoying to play against. And many people, when they're playing against something like that, will go for crazy moves. They'll sacrifice. They'll, go for crazy stuff because they can't bear the fact that their opponent is playing so solid. And that's why I recommend you guys to play very solid. So the knight is coming up over here, and I'm simply centralizing my knight. I also want to go for some checkmates now that I have both the queen and the knight in front of this king. Knights and queens work really well together because they complement each other perfectly. The queen can do whatever in the whole board apart from what the knight can do. So queens and knights, they are amazing. They're like pizza and pineapple. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna get some. No, guys, don't hate me. I do like pizza with pineapple, but don't hate me on that. So queen over here, and now I'm threatening this pawn. The rook might go over there, and what will I do? Well, maybe I'll take a pawn. I'm simply just moving my queen and my knight. I'm just right now trying to. Well, now my opponent is not defending. I actually don't even care. I have several things I could do, but we're going to play this simply. I'm just going to take this pawn. No, there's many things I could do, but the point here is that I'm making chess really hard for my opponent. I could also capture and promote. We see that this pawn is one step from becoming a queen. But guys, nope. I'm not going to go for any. No intermediate moves right now. I could take her, but I'm not going to do it. We're going to follow the principle of this whole video. I'm simply going to move my knight. My knight is under attack. I move it. No matter what, I move it. I don't go for tactics, no matter how much I think they, those intermediate moves work. I don't go for it. Now I'm going to bring this knight over here. I'm threatening 2 rooks at the same time. This is a fork. And, no matter what, I'll be able to take here, and then I'll be able to promote. The pawn, the little pawn over here that looks so tiny, will become a beautiful queen. And that is, the beauty of chess, that your pawns can become queens. Or that is one of the beautiful things about chess. There's many great things about chess, to be honest, but that is one of them. So I hope that this theme is being clear to you in understanding that you should not give counter chances. You should not do intermediate moves such as what my opponent did. You shouldn't do that. You should just play solid chess and just really play solid chess and wait for your opponent to blunder, because they will blunder. Okay, so takes over here. Takes, and then I'm going to take here. We're just taking now all of this. This is pushing. My opponent is threatening my queen. Now, when my queen is threatened, what do? We move it, no matter what. Yes, in this position, I have a check. That's, winning this, which is really good, and I'm very tempted to go for that, but I'm going to keep the theme of the video. So I'm simply going to move my queen. Because that's, the important thing. So now my opponent is going for more, crazy stuff. They really want to take. I really could at this point just take, but I'm going to move the queen. We're moving the queen just to make this simple, because I don't want to tell you guys to sacrifice queens and stuff. We don't do that. No, you attack my queen, I defend. Okay. So our, knight fell in the process of doing all that, but it was for a great cause. And now we're just simply, instead, this is all defended. We're simply going to open up for this rook, and we're going to go for the attack of this king now. So our opponent is thinking, if takes, I'll take back with the rook. Whoops. Don't pre-move. We're going to take with the queen now. I want to centralize this queen. This queen is a monster in this position. And then after this is pushing, now we're seeing some files are being opened. I'm going to go for a check. We're going to threaten this king. And if they go for the exchanges, that's going to be really bad. And if the king moves, I'll take this pawn and threaten the rook. That's the idea. So, and if this move, that's actually, it's even more dangerous. But now I'm just simply going to take. I'm threatening this rook. Let's see if the rook, where the rook goes. The rook goes here. I'll take this pawn. There we go. The rook goes there. I take the pawn. And the king now has to move because it's a check. If the pawn pushes, I'll take the pawn. The rook and the queen, they're all coordinating beautifully. And let's see where my opponent goes. If the king moves, I'm already planning this. I'll just simply try to checkmate with the rooks. I'll try to bring the rook to this side and checkmate. Because the queen and the rook are now both coordinating a beautiful checkmate on this king. This is under attack as well. And now we have a checkmate. So everybody, I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that this is something you can apply to your own games. Let me know how it went. And thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you all the good luck in your chess as I possibly can.